when you're depressed, it's actually your soul telling you that something's not right. You're living up to something that's not you. I wrote this book, Remember Who You Really Are, after my journey out of that really crucial moment in my life. How much do you really love and respect yourself? Do not be afraid of the opinion of others, good or bad. They will say something. Dare to ask and dare to answer. For you to know yourself, you must know the world. For you to know the world, you must know yourself.
Hey everyone, welcome to Women-Powered Stories, where women are making difference. Today's episode, our guest is a nurturer at Tuburan Institute, a senior Walford school in Mindanao. And she's also a writer. She writes her weekly column at Mindanao Times. And she's very interesting. She's also a Reiki energy healing master. On her book, Remember Who You Really Are, she shares about knowing the essence of one's being and embracing the beautiful rhythm of life. So everybody, please help me in welcoming Miss Joan Soco-Bantayan.
Hello.
Hello,
Hi, Rose.
sis.
Thank you
How
for
are you?
having
Thank
me
you for being here. It's my pleasure. And I'm so excited for our audience as you share to them more especially about your book.
Yeah, sure.
And aside from that, your journey on being a Reiki energy healer,
Yeah.
and where you are right now after you wrote the Remember Who You Really Are. And of course, we want them to know more about your book. So please tell me first your work right now as a nurturer in Tuburan Institute.
Yes. So I started way back 2016. I became a Steiner Waldorf teacher. In our school we call the teachers nurturer. Yes, because we nurture the becoming human beings. And being with the Tuburan Institute was really a challenge for myself, because all along in my life I have always said I will never be a teacher. I will never work with children.
So what made you become a nurture teacher?
Well, there are points in your life when you just change perspectives, and basically my children, they brought me to Tuburan Institute, and while I was looking for a school for the children, I became a student myself.
I see.
Yeah, so yeah,
But
that's basically it.
did that happen after you wrote the book, or while you were writing the book, or before you wrote the book?
Actually, I think Tuburan Institute has a key role in me having finished the book, because I haven't really started writing it. But on my first year in Tuburan Institute, I was so filled with inspiration. And also during that time, it's as if things were really just put into place. So my friends, and we were classmates in Ikapono, and Lady Bam Pitilos and Evelyn Princess Bendia, they prodded me to write the book. But most importantly, Bruce Conchin, he was the facilitator of Ikepono. He was the one who really inspired me to write the book. But during that time, the reason was to help spread Ikepono, and also to help Bruce in his as he recuperates from his illness.
I see. So I know that you've been a writer that's your career, right?
Yes.
So, but this one is you were able to come up with your first book, your debut book, and it says here 12 questions to help you know how to remember who you really are.
Yeah.
So can you please share to us what are the some of the questions to help us know who we really are?
Yeah. So basically, it's this book was written when I can remember myself really going through some very deep sadness. It was not clinically diagnosed, but for me it was like, it's depression. Every night, I suffered like nights, countless nights of battles with myself and just crying at night, and I couldn't sleep, and I would just cry. And I was looking at my children, and I was telling myself, "Is this all?" After I have
Was there
raised
any
them,
triggering factor? Why do you have to go through that?
there was none.
Really? Like
Nothing.
like you just feel like that way out of, you know.
Yes. So I had been writing, and everything was going smoothly, but basically I know my inner longing, something that my soul was really speaking to me, that no, this is there's something more to life. And so I was thinking that maybe I will just write. I will just dress up properly, and I will just live up to what others think of me. But no, you cannot. There's one point in your life when you tell yourself, no, I cannot live up to it anymore. And I have to be honest with myself. So I wrote this book, Remember Who You Really Are, after my journey out of that really crucial moment in my life. It happened when I was 29. Yes. And they say in anthroposophy, it's the philosophy behind the Steiner Waldorf education, that at 28 to 35, it will be a time when you have to educate yourself also, and you have to encounter your some of the deep-seated worries that you had, your programs. And it lasted for, I think, around maybe, it started around 2011, 2012. I felt that I had really overcome it around 2015. Yes. And so then the questions here are the ones that have helped me cope with those questions and those nightly bouts with myself. And what am I here for? What am I really doing here? Is it just to have kids? Is it just to write? Is it just to hear people say that I look good, I am doing good, I have this, I have that? Is it just about it? What if I have them all? And will I be happy? But I'm not. So all those questions, they have really prodded me to think of my journey here on earth. What am I here for? So the first question, I think the most crucial thing here is that where am I? Is the question, where am I in my life right now? Because then that will ask you to be very honest with yourself, to assess yourself really honestly. Tell yourself, if you come face to face with yourself, is there a point in your life when you can just say, no, you suck at this. No, you hurt this person, but it's okay. No, you allowed yourself to be hurt, but that's fine. You're forgiven. Can you tell that to yourself? So there are times when I think the crucial point in really knowing who you really are is to be honest. What state are you in your life right now? So that's I think the very crucial thing there, because then that's the time when you will have to meet with your pains and your hopes and your stillborn hopes. Those promises that you made to yourself that you never really fulfilled. So basically, when you come face to face with the pain, then it's the time when you meet your lesson also. When you tell yourself, what am I learning about this pain? Or otherwise, you will have to be the victim of it. It's not really my fault. It's not your fault. Yes. There is a point in your life when you say, no, it's not my fault. Yes, no, it's not your fault. When you were young, it's not your fault. Whatever you went through, it's not your fault. But when you're 21, you cannot blame anyone anymore. like you really have to take responsibility of yourself. So then this book really helped. The intention of this book is really to help others also with their journey. Because I read I think it's the book of Dr. Wayne Dyer, that it says that when you're depressed, it's actually your soul telling you that something's not right. You're living up to something that's not you. Your job, your abusive relationship.
Yeah.
So it could be that feeling of unworthiness, feeling of I'm not good enough. So those things, they sound very easy to speak about, to talk about, and they sound very easily overcome, but it's not. That's why we cannot blame others who are going through very tough times and who are giving up. But then, that's why I said, no, there has to be a point when we can help. So then I wrote this book. I think that's a very crucial part. And then the second that I can really say is very important also is that question of being honest. If you really love and you respect yourself, how much do you really love and respect yourself? But so then I want to make it clear here that when you say you love yourself, it doesn't mean that it follows that you are allowed to hurt others. Because there are times when we say we love ourselves, but actually we're spoiling ourselves. Spoiling and loving is a different thing.
That's interesting.
Right? I mean, like, when you're spoiling yourself, you just do, or like you eat too much because I love eating this, so I spoil myself. But when you love yourself, you know at one point what's really good for you. Because if you just keep spoiling yourself, it will lead you to the question: do you really respect yourself? And when you're able to love and respect yourself, you don't really hurt others. In fact, you're able to love and respect others more because it comes from within. Because loving is always that you share. And one key here is that this one is also very difficult again. It's forgiveness. The forgiveness of ourselves. Forgiving yourself for allowing others to do that to you. Forgiving yourself for doing that to yourself. Sometimes we impose punishments that no one's really punishing us for. But we are so hard on ourselves. We punish ourselves. And it's always, I cannot really say that there's a hard and fast rule about loving and respecting yourself. But it's always, how honest are you to tell this tough love, to accept this tough love, and then being kind to yourself. And yeah, I did that. I broke my rule of taking diets or sleeping early. But there's always that you can do better. So it's a different thing when you're spoiling so much, and when you know what's good for you, and because you love yourself, you always do that. Yeah. And in fact, I'm very happy with I'm sure you've watched Crash Landing. Crash Landing is the sensation.
So sorry. Excuse
No,
me.
it's okay. I mean, getting Crash Landing, there's a point when somebody told this woman, the best revenge is to be happy. Because then it will not be hurting yourself. It will not be hurting others. But that's a very crucial point, because we are always taught in the media, in the teleserye, we are always taught that being vengeful is being successful. But actually, being happy and forgiving them, not because for whatever reason, not because they're right, not because those things, but actually forgiving them because it's good for you. Because That's always part of loving and respecting yourself. How well are you looking after your well-being? Buddha, this is my favorite quote, said that if you're holding on to anger, it's like holding on a coal of fire and expecting the other person to get burned. So
You're the one holding.
yes, but you're the one who's getting burned every time. You're the one who's not free from it, who's being enslaved by it. So, it's a very nice image. So loving and respecting yourself, it's a very crucial part in our journey. And then another thing is this understanding that your mask is not you. Your job is not you. You're not your career. You're not your job. You're not your relationship. But that's the way you manifest to it. That's the way you manifest yourself. Those are the facets that we manifest ourselves. So, are we attached to that idea that this is my relationship? This is the kind of relationship that I always have. I always get hurt. I always get cheated. So, is that what you're looking at yourself? Is that your image of yourself? So, it's always like telling yourself what you want, what you deserve, and being honest enough to say no. I deserve something better. I deserve to be honest to myself. So all those they're actually very interwoven. And then there's this journey of a butterfly. This one I learned from the Mission Courage, and this is very nice. The imagery of a butterfly. I first heard this about from Nicanor Perlas, and this butterfly is actually sorry. So this butterfly, at first it's a caterpillar. It's crawling, and its views are limited. Right? It's only at the leaf, eating, and then there's a point when it has to wrap itself. And then while wrapping it, while inside this cocoon or chrysalis, inside there comes a battle, and then the battle is between the old cells and the imaginal cells, and then these cells here, they're in a battle, and 5% of the imaginal cells die during the battle. But what's interesting is that the old cells transform themselves into imaginal cells, the cells that are ready for a butterfly, that are the makings of the butterfly, and then it comes out. It's like the journey of the soul. It's
Would you consider yourself that had gone through this process while you were writing the book? Was it during the book or before you came up with this book? Could you consider yourself have gone through this process of the metamorphosis, the battle of the old self?
At one point, yes, but then it's a journey. I mean, if we're alive, we're in a journey, and then we don't stop. So unless we
don't stop transforming.
Yeah. So unless we stay there, we become that.
Yeah.
We become only that. But I mean, there are many phases when we are a butterfly. There are also many times when we're first cocoons or caterpillars. So it's a phase. It's just that it's up to you how to look at yourself, how you look at yourself. But finally, in this book, because when you know who you really are, there's a point when you have to be with the world. So when you know who you really are, there's a point when you need to ask yourself, I already am. I think I know who I am. So who am I now? What will this being do when she is in this world? So then it's a different thing It's a different thing when you just go to the world, barge in without knowing yourself, and I want to help, but then you end up destroying everything because you haven't worked on yourself. But when you're working on yourself, when you go to the world, you add more to the solution than the problem. Sometimes, all of us really want to help. But since sometimes we are unconscious, then we hurt others, then we do this, we are not conscious of our relationships and all those cycles. So those things.
Great. Those are great questions. And I think the last question is, what vision do I hold for myself? Right?
For the world.
And for the world.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that? How would we know if that's our real vision in life?
Yeah. So there's a saying that goes, for you to know yourself, you must know the world. For you to know the world, you must know yourself. And it's always like that. Yes. It's always a journey of going out to the world and going into yourself. So what is your vision? That's a challenge for you to find out. But first, know yourself. Then you will know the world. Then, when you know the world, then you know better of yourself. So then this idea triggers me. Then this kind of behavior triggers me. And it's always with our encounter with the world that we know ourselves better. Or we just get angry all the time. But then there has to be a point, why am I angry? Why am I triggered by this statement? Why don't I like this person at all? So it's always knowing yourself to know the world, knowing the world to know yourself.
Yeah. This is really a great book, so powerful. So how long it took you to write this book? And do you have to undergo something to be able to finish this?
Yeah. This book is very amazing. It has been in my thoughts. 2015, it has been in my thoughts, but people are telling me, go write a book. And then after 2017, it was when Bam told me, Lady Bam, he said, hey, you should write the book. And then when I decided to write the book, that was just the most amazing thing to me, because when I started writing, it suddenly, it was just flowing. It was just flowing. And then when I would stop, it would stop. And then I would continue. And then lastly, I left it for 3 nights. I told the angels, I'll leave this to you. If you have something to add up, tell me.
I remember you told me that story.
And then, yes, there are many instances when I just okay, so I needed to add this. I needed to add some of this.
Awesome. So is there something you've been working on lately? Is it another book?
This book, I have dreamt about the title of this book, and I'm still working on it.
All right.
But the outlines I have written and all those contents, it's just that I need to sit down some more and really refine it. So now I'm working on it.
I look forward to
Thank you.
have another episode about that book soon.
Yeah.
Okay. I have last question for you before we end this.
Yeah, sure.
I have last question for you. So what are the 3 life lessons that you can share to the women out there and to our audience?
Yes. First, dare to ask. Dare to ask. And dare to ask it to yourself. And dare to answer. And second, do not be afraid of the opinion of others. Good or bad, they will say something. But damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's what Eleanor Roosevelt said. And always take in your pain. Take in your pain and learn from it. Do not take in your pain and wallow in it. Take in your pain, learn from it, move forward, be happy.
Wow. So powerful. Thank you so much, Joanne. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in at Women-Powered Stories. Please follow our Facebook page for the next episode. Have a great week.